this video, I'll be covering all the steps to making an original character. Firstly, let's start with an idea. This idea could be a theme, or anything really, but the simpler the better. Your idea could even be based off of a visual representation of what your character looks like. But let's start with something simple. Your character does need a backstory, and you just need your character to have some kind of purpose and a reasoning to why it is the way it is. You should also know whether your character is a human, some kind of organic creature or animal, or something entirely different like a monster or whatever it is. This will allow you to have a more clearer image in your mind about what your character is in the theme that it followed. Also, knowing whether your character is a realistic and grounded character compared to being some fantasy character will definitely change how the character is and also its backstory. And doing some research on different parts of your character will definitely help its design, and also understanding how realistic things look will greatly help you, and of course this will make your character more convincing. Now let's talk about a few things that will help you draw your character. When it comes to first sketching it, you should always start with some basic thumbnail sketches of what you're thinking of. These sketches, of course, don't have to be in much detail, since they're pretty small, and only just parts of the character. After you've drawn your character a few times, start to draw the character in a little bit more detail. But try and draw your character from a few different angles in a more uniform scale. After you've done that, you should try to make sure that your character has easily readable forms. One way to ensure this is to make some silhouettes and check if the character looks readable and not too chaotic to the point of having a hard time telling what parts of the character are what. Next, you should iterate over your character's design. This means go over the character's design and change things. Experiment with different ideas that may come to mind as you're drawing it, and just change a few things up. You will definitely find something that you like that may not have been originally intended at first. Make sure to do this on a new layer or new page in your sketchbook so that you're not erasing or changing your old work that you've already done. Now that you've done all those steps, decide what works for your character and what you will stick with, and take notes on its design. If it's a mechanical character, explain how it works and its mechanisms. If your character has items, describe why it has these items to help piece together its backstory. This will also fill in the character more and make its story more intricate and detailed. Now that you have everything ironed out, draw your character from multiple views. You don't have to draw it from all angles, but just the standard front, back, and side view is good enough. Draw your character in detail. When it comes to coloring, I have a whole video about that, but I will cover coloring and why it matters briefly. The colors of your character should be based off of the theme that your character is. And it also should be based off of the story of the character, and I prefer it to be based off of the personalities of the character as well. Your character's color scheme will also be more deep if you base the colors of your character off of what each color represents. But also get creative with colors. Making your colors make sense does not mean putting yourself in a box. Now, let's talk about the character I designed specifically for this video. I started off with a simple idea. This idea is of an ancient sentry, a being that has been protecting something for centuries. No pun intended. I quickly thought of a backstory for this character, which is actually inspired from the backstory of another character I made about a year ago, but that's okay. So this ancient sentry is actually very old, and attacking trying to destroy what takes that is protecting for many years. Alright, so that's a pretty cool story, and it's actually pretty original, I think. I did these initial sketches on paper, but then I digitally did some more angles and views of this character in pretty low detail just to get the idea across. Then I decided to do some iterations of this character. I redrew it quite a few times, as you can see here. This was pretty fun and allowed me to make some changes while keeping the story in mind. Now here's the character I made for this video. I think it turned out pretty cool, and it demonstrates the tutorial pretty well in my opinion. Now what do your characters look like? I hope this tutorial has helped you. Thank you for watching.